Why 69% of Icelanders are born out of wedlock. Having children outside of marriage is common in Europe. There's no longer much social stigma, but Iceland is still an outlier. Almost 70% of all Icelandic kids are born to unmarried couples. Among firstborns, that number is 83%. But even with third-born children, it's still 53%. So more than half of Icelanders don't marry after having 2 kids. But what makes Iceland so special? The first reason is tradition. Iceland was settled by Vikings in the 800s. The Norsemen had relaxed attitudes toward marriage. Non-marital childbearing was considered normal. Iceland is very isolated, so it wasn't influenced by outsiders much. The adoption of Christianity changed little. The earliest available statistics are from the mid-1800s. Even back then, every 5th mother was unmarried. By the 1940s, every 4th child was born to an unmarried mother. That doesn't mean the fathers were absent. Iceland simply retained the medieval tradition of common law marriage. Non-marital or premarital cohabitation was known as festar. The Church of Iceland never denounced it. Even church leaders and bishops had illegitimate children. But in a surprising twist, most Icelanders are married. According to the 2011 census, 70% of Icelanders aged 40 to 44 were married. Among those aged 80 to 84, the number was 90%. So how come children are born out of wedlock? At 28, about 60% of Icelandic women have given birth. The same proportion has registered cohabitation. These are not necessarily the same women. By age 46, about 90% of women are mothers. About 80% have cohabited at least once. The official registration of cohabitation is equivalent to marriage. It's often associated with first childbirth. Thus, cohabitation is the main family-building institution in Iceland. Marriage appears as a later-in-life milestone. Most cohabiting unions do end in marriage. This is the second reason for non-marital births. Iceland passed laws protecting cohabitation in the mid-1900s. Cohabiting and married couples share the same rights. They also have the same child care obligations. They get all the same benefits. Paternity is automatically recorded if the parents cohabitate. Both get parental leave and joint child custody after separation. So what's the difference between marriage and cohabitation? It's mostly about inheritance rights. This also explains why people choose it later in life. The vast majority of Icelanders are thus born to stable couples. There are few single women. Having a child before marriage doesn't mean avoiding marriage. Marriage rates in Iceland haven't declined. Divorce and separation are also quite common. But in Iceland, most divorces involve no bitterness. It's considered normal to change partners and have children with them. As one Icelandic woman explained,
"You have this horrible term in English, broken families, which basically means just if you get divorced, then something's broken. But that's not the way it is in Iceland at all. We live in such a small and secure environment, and the women have so much freedom. You can choose your life.